Well, let's get going. We've got a few more people that have registered that will be showing up, I'm sure. But in the interests of being on time, I'd like to make sure we get the session moving, and everybody has an opportunity to not only hear what we have to say, but if you have fundraisers that you've been successful with, there will be an opportunity after we've done some of the slides and had a couple of presentations for you to tell us the wonderful fundraiser that you've done this year and the successes that you've had. Or possibly there's been one that you tried and failed, and you can let everybody else know how that didn't go. And maybe we can either help you out and see how it went, or it will be it will give people an opportunity to say, okay, well, maybe we won't do that one. Maybe we'll try something else. This morning, we have Kelly Zammit and Marianne Osborne, who will be looking after the blue hands and the chat room. So by all means, feel free to let us know where you are, what you are, and what you've got to say. And we are going to be talking about fundraising in a pandemic. There's been some successes in the district as I've gone around and visited the clubs. And so it's great to see that a lot of people are taking the opportunity to see how they can redo their current one that the fundraiser that they've been doing over the years and still make it successful, or totally change and come up with some new ideas and some successes there. Next slide, Keith. So this morning, there will be obviously myself will be presenting. Keith Dinwoody, my district trainer, will be presenting, and thank Keith very much for putting this slide deck together. We've also got a few, a few others around the district that will tell their stories, and then, as I mentioned, we'll have an open forum. Next slide. So a couple of housekeeping rules here. So first of all, you are muted, so please stay muted unless you are invited to speak. That will allow everybody to, to hear no background noises. Raising your hand, we would prefer that you use the blue hand technique because there is more than one screen. It's not always easy to find anybody. However, you can also use the chat room to ask a question. The session is being recorded, and we will share it with anyone that has registered, whether they're here or not. So you will have a recording of what's here. So you can take notes, or you can wait for the recording to come to you. Next, Keith. Our agenda today. So first of all, Keith will talk a little bit about some food for thought, some ideas, some things that we've seen in the district and also throughout the district and throughout the zone. Some idea sharing from a variety of different presidents and clubs. And if you're not on the list, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can't share your ideas. So we're hoping that everybody will feel free to speak up when we have our idea sharing sessions, and then a follow-up. And now I will turn it over to Keith Dinwoody.
Thank you, Dave. So although fundraising is not impossible during our current situation, there are some limitations. And clearly the obvious one is that we cannot have large gatherings. So the in-person things that we've done in the past cannot be done. We can't have, for example, the soapbox derby or derby that we used to hold in Swansea, where we'd have several hundred people gathering on 6th Avenue. We can't do those things. Wine galas, those types of things. Live auctions are difficult to do. But there are opportunities. Because of the pandemic, perhaps people aren't spending as much as they would normally. Perhaps there are untapped resources of funds out there that you can get access to. Some of the other organizations may not be able to organize themselves to be able to do their fundraisers. So we could take advantage of that and perhaps tap into some of those funds that might be available to us. There are still options for how we can do fundraising, and we'll talk about some of those as we go through this morning. So we're not alone in doing that. But one of the keys about any fundraising activity is making sure we have something to tie it to, making sure that there's a cause or a reason for us to be able to do that fundraising, so that people will get the information that they want and be willing to support those things, whether it's a local activity that we want to be able to fund or whether it's something internationally. There's no reason why we can't do that. And of course, the beneficiaries will be very important to define. And when we're talking about beneficiaries, don't forget, one of the big beneficiaries of fundraising can be our own foundation. And fundraising can be for public identities, public activities, but it can also be for our foundation. Next month is Foundation Month. An opportunity to raise money for our foundation should be something you should be thinking about as we go forward. So what are some of the techniques that we can use? Well, clearly raffles are important. Auctions is another alternative. Crowdfunding, we can talk a little bit about that. And then athons, whether it's a walkathon, a dance-a-thon, an eat-a-thon, whatever it may be that takes your fancy. So let's talk about some of those. Raffles do require a license from the BC Gaming Branch. You can't run one of those things without one. And you can only sell tickets for it in BC. You have to have a dedicated bank account. You need the fair market value of any donated prizes, because at the end of the session, you need to have a report which defines what you sold, how much you sold, what prizes you gave away. And you have to report at the end of the event that you've just organized, the end of the raffle, and at the end of the calendar year or the Rotary year. So on June 30th, there has to be a report that goes into the gaming branch of anything you may have done which utilize gaming funds, be they the gaming grants or be it the raffles you may organize. But speaking of gaming funds, don't forget there is a gaming grant you can apply for at this time of year, and you may be able to get access to some of that money as well. So raffles are still a possibility. Auctions is another possibility, and with those, you don't need a license. So you can run an auction without a license. You can have prizes that you buy or that you donated to you. You can have a silent or a live auction. You may need outside expertise for a live auction given the current situation. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the organizations that can help you with those things. Crowdfunding. Probably have the least amount of work for us to do to make a crowdfunding fundraiser, but it needs a very good cause. You have to have something that people want to buy into. The good news is you can have a variable donation amount. People can donate as little as $10 or $100 or $1,000. So it's a very useful way of raising funds. Again, you may need some outside expertise to help you do that. Athons. Well, creativity for the what, like I say, somebody came up with a dance-a-thon, which I thought was intriguing. How long can you dance for? You still need that very good cause to be able to tie that to. And you can have variable pledge amounts. You can have competition between the people who are sponsoring these things, either individuals or teams. And again, probably some outside expertise might be useful as well. So outside expertise, there's more than these three, but these are three that we've come across recently. Event Groove. It's an organization. They're based in the US, but do claim to have activities in Canada. At the time of this presentation, I wasn't able to verify what they have done, but they do have clubs in the northeast of the US that they've done brothels, as they're calling them in some cases. And the eventgroovefundraising.com is an organization that made a presentation to our zone recently. And all the various governors were involved in that presentation. And there is a recording of that. If anybody's interested in that, I'm sure we can share it with you. But they are available to help you run the various types of raffles, fundraising events, auctions, and some of the others as well. Givergy is an organization that appears to be Canadian-based, as far as I can tell. They certainly have presence in Western Canada. And they were very successful recently in helping to organize an auction for the Reach organization here in Ladner. So givergy.com is another organization. And lastly, definitely a BC-based organization, Raffle Nexus. Oops, sorry about that. Raffle Nexus. Where have they gone? Come back. Have organized events in BC and of course are very familiar with all the BC rules and regulations about organizing a raffle, getting licenses, etc. So those are three of the platforms, and there are others, and you can certainly find them quite easily to be able to help you with your various fundraising events. So let's talk about some of the results. Now, at this point, we're going to turn it over to some of the people who have signed on to our meeting today, and I hope they are here today so far. I think the first person is, and the first person is Nigel Bullers. So Nigel, if you'd like to step up, unmute yourself, and share with us what you've done with your fundraising event so far today. Are you there, Nigel?
Nigel's there.
Has he unmuted himself?
No. Oh,
hello, can you hear me?
There he is.
Yes. Super.
And you can hear me, yes?
We
Yes.
can.
Okay, good, thank you. So look, I don't know this. I don't know if we've been super successful. It's hard during COVID. I think some of the things that have worked for us is really going back to the basics and having a little bit of strategy around how you apply the same thing over and over and over. So for us, we went back to look at some of the low-hanging, easy things, and then we looked at sort of how we bundle the message. So, and then having a scoreboard, because I think the visibility and the ask out to members on a regular basis is really important, so they know where you're at. So one of the easy things that we did, and we've morphed this a couple of times, is the web sponsorship thing. And when we didn't really do web sponsorship for our website, we had searched around last year, and two clubs that did it really well were Winnipeg and Seattle. We talked to them. Everybody in the Rotary world seems to use like $100 sponsorship as a guideline, and we did that first. And then our second evolution of that is we changed it and morphed it and said, well, we're going to change that to, here's bronze, silver, and gold. So I think silver is $300 for a year. Gold is $500 for 2 years. So we've had some success with that. And then this year, we morphed it again slightly and said, so if there are principals with the club who are doing sponsorship out of their own pocket for their business, we will donate 50% of that to the foundation under their name. So the net effect of that is they get a 50% tax receipt. Obviously, you can't do that if they're not members and if it comes from outside the club. But if it's a member, that really helped us get a little bit of traction with that. And it also raised the awareness of what we're doing. And again, it's this bundling concept. The other thing we did is really work the points. So I don't know about everybody's club, but my club, Fraser View, we have a lot of older members, but they didn't really understand how the whole points thing is used for Rotary. They didn't know well. And so we did a bit of investigation on that over the past year or so, and sort of got that to a place where we can use it. So look, points are meant to be used in the way that the foundation uses them. The points are collected by members in the club to help other people get to the next level and encourage them to donate money. So we do that. So one of the things that we found is go back to the database and check where the points are for the members. Who's close? Who's getting close? And then we use either club points or encourage other members to use their points to match the donations of members to get them up to that next level. And that is important to raise awareness of the foundation, engage people in their point system, get them thinking about, and it can really sort of pay off. So we had one member, we said, well, gosh, you're not that far because you've done all these little donations from a +1. So we said, tell you what, we will match the points that you have, the points for your donation to get you up to the +1 level. But we'll also, we can, if you put in that amount of money, get your +1, we can also get you a bronze sponsorship if you add in another $100 to that. And she said yes right away. She made a donation. We put those points. That's a good story. A week after that, she came back and said, I was thinking about this. I control a foundation with Van City, and I've convinced them to give the club $500 that they want to go into the foundation. So thinking about reaching out to the members, finding a way to engage them, telling them the story, helping them to get to levels and rethink about stuff can really sort of pay back in terms of how that comes back. We did some awards to raise money for the foundation. Everything that we do, we try and hook to the foundation, because when we hook it from members to the foundation, we can put the donations under their name, get them the tax receipt, get them the points for the foundation. And it's a way of benchmarking for them how critical those things are and encourage them to put in. Through the worst times of COVID, when we weren't meeting, we sort of had virtual meetings, and every single one, we said, okay, so, we encourage members to donate the lunch that you would have paid for. So we did donate the lunch. Again, we did it for the foundation. So we took their money, put the donation to the foundation under their name so that they get the credits for that. We did that for a few weeks. Then we did, how about donate half your lunch? So here's what the lunch would have cost. Just donate half. Then we did donate your parking. So for us, parking would be about $7. So we said, donate your parking for this month. We got good traction on that. And then as we sort of milked that as we got along, we did, something creative we called donate your buns. So we said, well, the buns on the table would have been $2.50 maybe. So everybody donate $2.50 to donate the buns that would have been on the table. And again, we got money sort of through that and it wasn't, it was two things. It was that engagement, that message out. We have designed our own rotary masks. We did 2 designs. And again, we sort of bundled this concept of, well, we want to make a mask that's rotary, so it's brand awareness. We want to sell the masks, and 75% of the profit goes to the foundation. But we also made the masks here in Vancouver from a company on Granville Island called Meg. And so, again, we bundled this concept of, look, this is really important to support those Vancouver-based businesses and not just buy stuff offshore. So we support the community that way and that business that needs the money. We make these masks that everyone's going to need to have anyway, and then we donate 75% of the profit back to Rotary. And again, where the members personally using their money to buy the mask for themselves or the family, we can put that donation to the foundation under their name so they get the credit back in terms of both taxable and then the points for the Paul Harris. And again, just, obviously if they buy, but they're selling to somebody else like a business, then we have to be kind of careful about that. You can't kind of do that. We've had a couple of successes with that. We've had our president, whose father is a doctor, so she bought, I think, 20 masks, and he bought them from her, and he gives them out to important patients that are coming through. We have somebody who's a coach at a badminton club, and he bought a bunch of them, and he's selling them to the people that come through and stuff. We had a guest to lunch, and so we had one of our lunch meetings, and we had him out. And again, we talked about what we're doing and the troubles we're having with COVID and how hard it is to raise the money, where this money goes to COVID. So he left after lunch, sent me a note, and the next day went online and bought $400 of masks. Why did he do that? Because I think it's the message out that says over and over and over, the world's in a bad place. We're going to have to do creative things, and we got to have that. And the big part of that is the dashboard. So if you go to our website, we literally use the thermometer. We used it last year. We use it this year. We post it on our website. That thermometer goes out in every newsletter that we do. It's also on the WhatsApp thing. Whenever we do a fundraiser, donate your lunch, do this, masks, we're constantly pushing out the results. And we're saying, okay, so we're at 109 masks, we're at 120 masks. This is the help we need. I think the basic premise has to be, as you probably know, that the challenge is that everybody in the club assumes that somebody else has fundraising. They just do. Oh, they have it, so I don't have to worry. So the thermometer, the dashboard, the reach out, the constant communication is a way of saying to people, we're not there yet. We need help. Fundraising has to be everybody's goal. And it sort of both brings the awareness, and then it highlights for people that maybe they haven't done it. And if you continue to just push that message and drive it over and over and over, we find that you will get results that we think makes most sense. A couple of other things we've done, obviously we're very aware that we can't have an indoor event, and we're nervous about that. We think we could probably get a golf day in sometime just before the end of October, because everyone's outside. It's fairly safe. It's one way of getting, and it's a high value item. We did a beach event outside, and we couldn't have a barbecue, so we got individual bento boxes, and we're able to social distance on a park area and raise some money that way, and kind of communicate and keep people top of mind. So in general, those are the things we have done. And I'd say the most important one is whatever you do, just get this dashboard and feed it out like daily and weekly, not monthly, not at the next meeting, but so that people have it all the time. I think that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
Nigel, that was absolutely excellent. You picked up on 7 points we talked about already, about the fact you're tapping into unused money. When you talk about getting people to spend money on donations to the foundation that they would normally spend, but they're not spending because of the situation. And the foundation being an excellent identity for which we want to encourage people to make donations. So those are fabulous. And yeah, the rest of the things you're doing, that's just absolutely top notch. It's great. We'll love you to hear about it. And we'll certainly come back to some questions for you later as we get through the rest of the presentation. But let's move on now to the next member who's going to share their experiences from their club, and that's Gary Cronin. And hopefully he's available, can unmute himself and give us his story. Are you there, Gary?
Okay. Hello, everybody, and it's Gary Choman. You can drop the R.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Good morning, and thanks very much for the opportunity. I'm not going to talk very much about our project, but I'm going to talk about how we've been successful in raising money and the plan that we've been able to fine-tune over the last, I guess, 6 or 7 years that has worked for us to raise some money. So in 2012, we revamped our Strathcona Rotary Youth Leadership Hoopathon project and took a new approach to it. At that point, our fundraising was at about $6,000. We wanted to engage our members a little bit more. We wanted to make sure that we had 100% participation from our club membership, and we had to come up with a system to do that. We were successful. We grew it to $15,000, then over $20,000, then to $50,000 in 2019. And this year, during the pandemic, we did $52,000. We came up with a marketing plan that engages our club members. And in the last 3 years, we're very fortunate to have other clubs join us to support the Rotary Youth Leadership and to promote Rotary in Vancouver. So since 2012, we've come up with a successful marketing plan for our fundraising project. And here's what we learned. Before you start, designate a project chair or a committee who will manage the project and execute the plan. That is critical. The project manager or the committee is responsible 100% for the success of the project. A successful marketing plan is built on 3 components. This doesn't change, whether it's now during a pandemic or whether it's during normal times. Any marketing plan is based on 3 components. 1 is the messaging. 2nd is the targeting. 3rd is the media. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of those and how they can fit into your plan. First is messaging. That's essentially what you want to say. Messaging must be consistent, and you have to choose the wording that you'll use and stick to it. That's a critical job of your committee. Your message should address the 5 W's. Who? What? What is your project about? When is it happening? Who is it benefiting? Why are you coming up with this project? And where will the project be executed? Can you come up with a memorable slogan? For instance, our Hoopathon, we talk about that we're shooting to make a difference for kids on and off the court. That's something that we use in all of our scripting. It's included on all of our materials, and it's a consistent message that is delivered over and over and over again for years. That's one thing that doesn't change. And how do you manage your messaging? Well, once your scripts and your wording is written, you have to ensure that all stakeholders use exactly the same wording on all materials when they talk to anyone about the project. Write scripts for everything. Don't let people wing it. Make sure that everyone that is engaged understands what we're promoting, what we're saying, what the benefit is, and what we would like the call to action to be. Secondly, is targeting. Who is your target for fundraising? Where will you find the money? Targets can include club members and your club members' contacts, friends, family, business associates, Rotary District for grants, associations, other organizations who could support your cause with a donation. And of course, corporate donations, important. Who do you know? Now you'll notice that I say corporate donations versus sponsorships. What we found is that if you're going and knocking on doors for sponsorships, that is a cost of marketing or a promotional cost for the business. They will not necessarily get a tax write-off. If you're asking for a donation, you can give them a tax write-off. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So once you've got your messaging and you know who you're going to reach, you have to determine how you're going to deliver the message. That's your media. In the real world, when I build marketing campaigns for a client, it's limited by a media budget, money, cost, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Money controls the frequency and how many people you can target and what media you can use. That's in the real world. With fundraising, a marketing plan that we have developed and it's been successful, there are no costs. It's free. So here's what we use. We came up with a website with a simple URL. It's memorable, hoopathon.ca. The site includes everything about your project with consistent messaging and links. We also use an online donation system that you've talked about already. All messaging is on this link for donations. Your website has this link up front and center. We use charitable impact, for example. It gives instant tax receipts when a donation is received, and all donations go to our club foundation, and then we write the check to the charities, to Strathcona Youth, to Rotary Youth Leadership, to the Leap and Empowerment for Youth at Strathcona. All contributors all receive an instant tax receipt online. Very simple to use, very user-friendly, and it also helps with our accounting on the back end. We've also created a YouTube video channel explaining the project. Make sure that that is fun and interesting, and it promotes your website. It pushes to the website. On the website is the link for people to donate to. Ask for money, ask for money, ask for money. Everything pushes towards the charitable impact site and indicates that anyone that makes a donation will receive an instant tax receipt. Your website can be simple, or pardon me, the YouTube video can be simple or complex. They all work. You can make one on your phone. That engages people. You can get your members to contribute. We've done that. In the past, before the pandemic, we had a video that was shot that shows all of the kids shooting hoops. It had a couple of interviews with some of the stakeholders in the Hoopathon. When the pandemic hit, we had to blow all that up. We had to change it. Everything had to go online, and people had to, we set up a virtual Hoopathon at home where people could do anything from throwing a rolled up pair of socks into a waste bucket to throwing laundry into their dryer. We had to shift gears, but we engaged people and made it fun with that YouTube video, and it's free. Now, one of the key components that we've come up with is an email campaign. Now, this is also free, but it takes some time and management to do. The email campaign goes to your members, and then it is generated by your members. We encourage 100% participation from our members, and we encourage each of our members to send at least 10 emails to their top contacts. We control the messaging on the emails. We write the emails. We send them to all of our members. The members then cut and paste those emails and send them to their top 10 contact list. Now, this is a campaign. We're not throwing darts at the board. We control the delivery of those emails. Over the course of our campaign, which runs 6 weeks, we plan at least 3 emails. I say at least because some members will do follow-up emails to the people that they have sent requests for donations. The 3 emails are timed. The first one announces the project. It asks for a donation. The second email comes a couple of weeks later. We remind them of the project and we ask for a donation with a link to our Chimp page. And the third email comes a couple of days before the project is wrapped up. We say it's your last chance. Rotarians around Vancouver are supporting Strathcona Rotary Youth Leadership with our Hoopathon. If you've made a donation, thank you. If not, click here, make a donation. You'll get an instant tax receipt. All of that is controlled. All of the wording is consistent. So at the end of the day, we've been able to, and we've been fortunate to engage 4 clubs with our project because everybody is concerned about helping kids. Our mandate is youth leadership. And so at the end of the day, if all of the Rotarians in those 4 clubs are sending out the same consistent message to their 10 contacts, that is hundreds upon hundreds of emails, delivering a consistent message with frequency, talking about Rotary, talking about our Youth Leadership Initiative, talking about our project, and asking for a donation. Bottom line, it's a win-win. If a donation is made, we get the cash. If no donation is made, we have created top-of-mind awareness in Rotary. We've created top-of-mind awareness of youth leadership and the job that Rotarians are doing in Vancouver. This is a win-win-win situation. The more that our projects can promote Rotary in general, and our projects specifically, we will win. That's why it's important for us to control the message. Now, a note about our project fundraising and email campaign. Rotary is service above self, and service is hard work. And as I mentioned, we ask for 100% club participation on our Hoopathon. Nigel mentioned that all members are responsible for fundraising. I cannot agree more. It's fundraising not only where you go out and write a check for $50 or $500, whatever your financial means allow, but it is our responsibility to promote Rotary and to knock on doors and ask for donations. That's service above self, and it's hard work. We ask our members to create a list of at least 10 friends, family, business associates. Each of those contacts gets 3 messages, as I mentioned, and the work that Rotary is doing. We also use social media, which is controlled by our club, and our members' social media channels. We write the social media posts and control delivery. We send out posts to our members, to everybody. We suggest that they use this. We link to our YouTube channel, to the website, to create conversations on social media. I suggest you find a club member who's good at social media and have them manage it. We've also been very fortunate in that we've had a media sponsor over the years. As our project has grown, we have Global TV that promotes our event. When our event was live and the gyms were open, we had Chris Galis and Yvonne Shaw from the news team come out and shoot hoops. We were very lucky in getting them on board in that Chris's sister is a police officer in East Vancouver. She started coming to the Hoopathon many years ago. Chris showed up, and through our media contacts, I met with Chris, had a chat with him, engaged the community services department, and because of the profile that Rotary has, and because we've been able to engage a number of clubs, even when the pandemic hit, we weren't having a live event. There weren't going to be hundreds of people in the gymnasium. They still supported our event because of the job that Rotary is doing with kids in the city. So if you can get a media sponsor, hey, that's great, but you have to ask yourself a question. What's in it for the media partner? What will they get out of it? Why would they want to support our project? So the key here is the bigger you can make the event, the more likely you will be to engage a media sponsor. Years in marketing and media on the corporate side of things, we used to receive hundreds of requests from clubs and groups looking for sponsorships. We used to sit in our meetings and ask, what's in it for us? Certainly we can support you with an announcement. But if you want to engage a media outlet, what's in it for them? We've been fortunate in getting news clips, interviews, news drops, live cut-ins on global TV. We've been very, very fortunate, very fortunate to be able to get that. But we've worked at it, and because our project is growing. I just want to sum up with a couple of things, and then I can open it up for questions. Marketing is selling, and as any successful salesperson knows, you have to follow up. You have to follow up with your members. You have to follow up with your contacts. You have to follow up with everybody that's involved in the project. Over the 6-week campaign, it is everybody's job. It is their responsibility to work hard and focus on this project. And it's up to the project manager to essentially babysit your group and your project to make sure that it's going to be successful. Our Strathcona Rotary Youth Leadership Hoopathon has been successful because of all of the clubs involved and the members who do their jobs and work on the project. We've been very fortunate, and I've been lucky as the chair that people have engaged, people have come to the table, and people have put in a lot of hard work making contacts, asking for donations, and promoting Rotary. I want to thank everybody at Vancouver Sunrise, Vancouver Yaletown, Vancouver Club, Vancouver Arbutus, Vancouver Fraserview, and Young Professional Rotaractors for their support and hard work. It is a team effort, and when everybody is working on a consistent plan, your project will be successful. I thank them for our success, and thanks for the opportunity for me to present our ideas. I hope that I've been helpful, and I look forward to any questions that anyone may have. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. And I apologize for the misspelling of your name. That was excellent and certainly spoke to many of the points we've already mentioned this morning. And as you say, a target of why we're going to raise that money, what we're going to do with that money. And youth programs are one of those things that often gets people's attention. So that's fabulous. Really good. Appreciate that as well. And now we're going to open it up to just a few other suggestions. And I think I'm aware of at least one, Marianne. Would that be correct?
Yes, there is a question from Chris Dong to everybody. We are a new club, the Dragon Club. And actually, we have done our first fundraising online auction yesterday. It was quite successful. And he would like to ask, how could we get the tax receipts for the contributors?
Okay, well, I guess the question there is, to whom are those funds, or where are those funds being donated? Are they being donated to the foundation, in which case we need to provide the name and address of that person, or are they being donated to another charitable organization that's capable of issuing tax receipts? That one sounds like something that needs to be taken offline rather than one that we can address here today, but that's an excellent question. And certainly anytime you want to be able to issue tax receipts for donations, it needs to be clear how that money is going to be funneled through to an organization that can give a tax receipt.
Yeah,
Okay.
and not only that, Keith, the organization would have to have a charitable status or foundation status of some sort that is allowed to give, excuse me, tax receipts. Your basic Rotary Club doesn't have the ability to do that.
No, but our foundation does. And some clubs, like our own club, we have a charitable society.
Exactly.
And so we can give tax receipts, for example, if we get donations into that event. I believe there may have been somebody else, Marianne, who wanted to share their story with us. Was that correct?
I don't see anything.
I thought I saw a chat from the Whistler Club.
Oh, from
Talked about
Danson?
No,
Jill?
from Whistler?
From Jill?
From
No,
Jill.
I don't have that on my screen.
Sorry, I just sent that to Keith.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, Jillian. Oh, there you go. Well, Jillian, perhaps you'd like to share your story with us for your successful fundraiser, please.
We've actually got quite a few things going. One of the things that we found with our members is a lot of them are not keen on directly asking for money. So the notion to them of sending out letters to friends asking for money, they're not real keen on that. So we're very, very much a club where we like to do things to actually raise the money, like our traditional pancake breakfasts and corn roasts and things like that. They're much keener on doing that. So, you know, we've been trying to look at, or else buy things. where they're getting some value as well as supporting the club. So we've had a few things going, and at the end of so earlier in the year before COVID, the other Rotary Club, the Millennium Club in Whistler, and I had been talking together about doing a big thing this fall for polio. And that was on the cards to do, have a really, really big effort from the two clubs to raise money this fall for polio. So what we ended up doing was we did a pedal for polio, a virtual pedal for polio. And we researched all the websites that do a-thons and, you know, take the donations, help you set up the website and manage the whole thing. And all the ones that you can actually register yourself as a participant and then clock up your miles and people pay by miles. All of those websites charged rather a lot of money to do it for you. So we ended up doing it with Canada Helps, who only charged 5.5% for the credit card fees, plus the use and the setting up of the website and issuing the tax receipts and everything else that went with it. So it was quite a small amount compared to all the others. So we did set up our website as if everybody was going to go out there and do something during a particular week. But what it really ended up with was people being participants, asking people to support them, and they all donated various amounts. And we actually got all the 4 Sea to Sky clubs together, Squamish, Pemberton, and the 2 Whistler clubs. And we raised $17,500. So we were pretty stoked with that. So that means that with the Bill and Melinda Gates, we've got $50,000 going to eradicate polio. So we were very, very happy with that. It went really, really well. And everybody liked doing it. You know, there was a lot of competition, particularly between the ladies from the Millennium Club and the guys from Whistler Club. They got quite a lot of competition going, getting their teams together to support them, and the money started rolling in. So that was really good. So I highly recommend Canada Helps if you want to do something like that, because they do work very, very well, very efficiently, and it doesn't cost too much. One of our members got a bit ingenious, and he heard from somebody that one of the big resort places was gathering up all the abandoned bicycles. Being the place that we are in Whistler, people buy bicycles, and then when they leave, they just abandon them. So we have a lot of good bicycles lying around the place. So he got hold of all these bicycles and then sold them online on Whistler Buy and Sell, and he raised $1,700 just for selling. I think he had something like about 25 bikes that he collected, and he priced them according to status and quality of bike. And we're going to do that every year, and we're probably going to make it very, very much bigger next year by going around a lot more of the resort hotels and particularly condominium complexes and places that are Airbnb and rentable. They get a lot of this stuff just left there, sometimes chained up to a bike rack for 2 years, sometimes just dumped. So we're going to do a big one for that next year. One of the things we were also looking at was doing things that bring in money all the time without much effort. And I've been talking to a friend of mine. Some of you may know Daniel's Kitchen down in Vancouver. Daniel Martinez is a very, very good friend of the Rotary Club of Whistler. We see them every weekend and they come up here. So what we've arranged with Daniel is that we are selling up here his lasagnas and quiches and salmon pate. And we send out a notice to everybody telling them when the next delivery day is going to be. We've got an online ordering system. They pay by e-transfer so that we don't have credit card fees. So we keep all the money, and we get the profit from each one of the items that we sell. We have a mass pickup on a Wednesday because obviously we don't have much storage for all the frozen food. So it gets delivered late Wednesday afternoon, and then between 5 and 6 on Wednesday evening, we just have a car set up and everybody comes masked and ready, and we social distance and hand out their orders. And that's working really well. We've only been advertising it to our own club members at the moment, but we've been making $300-400 a month. So we're now going to start advertising it further afield so that we can bring in a bit more. You know, if we can bring in, $500 at least every month, that, that's $6,000 a year. for with very, very little effort, you know, just sitting there for an hour on Wednesday night doling out the, the food. The other thing that we did was we've got a liaison with a company called Legends Hall. I don't know if any of you Vancouver people or BC people have heard of them. They're a food supply company, a bit like Spud, where you order your food and you have it delivered. Your groceries, your fresh food, your produce, your meat. And we've got a relationship with them, and Squamish Club are doing it as well, whereby they give us, everybody who orders through them and uses the club code gets a 5% discount. And then on top of that, we get 5% for the club. So that's just money that we don't have to do anything for. The members are happy because they're getting a discount, and they're also supporting the club. So we've got that going. Foundation month, we always do matching dollars. Our club has got a large surplus of Paul Harris points. So we're trying to reduce that by matching points during foundation month. We did that last year, and we're going to do it again this year. And also with the Pedal for Polio, what we did was all the people who are participants get Paul Harris points for the people who donate to them that are not members. And then the people who do donate who are members, they obviously get Paul Harris points. And of course, everyone gets a tax receipt. So that was a bit of an inducement with that one as well. One of our fundraisers that has always been designated to foundation was a thing called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where people would put their hand up to cook dinner, either on a Friday night or a Saturday night or both. And then other people would put their names down to go to dinner. And it all got jumbled up. So you did not know who was coming to your house for dinner at all. And however many, 6 or 7 or 8 people would front upon your doorstep at 6 o'clock to have dinner that you had cooked. And they paid for that dinner, and you as the host sponsored it by providing the food, and then all of the money that we raised from that. Well, obviously we can't do that this year, so we're looking at doing something like a box meal. That's been happening a lot in Whistler. Several of the organizations up here have been getting chefs to do box meals that then go out, and the proceeds. So we're looking at doing a boxed dinner for that will just require people to either pick up or be delivered. And then people who are comfortable with a circle of friends like me, I'll bring my family who just live down the road, I'll bring them over for dinner and buy boxed dinners for them instead of having these other people coming that you don't know. And a lot of other people will do that either with their social bubble or else do it on Zoom, where they all sit on Zoom and eat their boxes. So that's our plan for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And those are what we've got going at the moment. And we're still searching for ideas. So I'm very happily listening to all the other ideas that everybody else has got to see what else we can do that doesn't take an awful lot of time, but does have a very positive effect. So yeah, we've been going pretty well.
Thanks, Jillian. I think that the key to a number of those is a lot of them were fairly simple. And I think that's really one of the areas that we can look at when we're looking at trying to generate new fundraisers, is things that they may not bring in as much as a larger gathering might have, but they're a little bit easier to pull off. And therefore you're getting still a significant amount of money, but you're not having to try to find new ways to do things.
Yeah, minimizing our effort for the profit, and also keeping it technically simple.
Yeah.
It's got to be technically simple for a lot of members, yeah.
I'd also like to say that on those projects, there's not a lot of cash outlay.
No, none.
And that's the key. That can sink you if you are counting on, if you're putting on a function that you've got overhead costs of $2,500. Wow, that's a big hurdle to jump just to break even. And I think those plans that you're talking about are excellent. No cost.
Yeah, that's why Canada Helps was so good, because all the other organizations we researched and had meetings with, they wanted money up front. So there was a $2,500 or a $3,000, sometimes even $5,000 upfront that they wanted from you. And a lot of them were American, the organizations. There aren't too many Canadian ones that will do it in Canadian money, so that wiped them out. So yeah, whereas Canada Helps, there's no upfront costs whatsoever. It's just 5.5% of your donations and no costs. That, you know, so even if we'd only made $200 in donations, we would have still been ahead.
Right.
Good. Excellent. Thanks very much, Julian. Appreciate that. So Kelly, I believe there may be some hands raised of people who want to contribute to our session today. Can you list off any names you have in your list?
I'm not even seeing them, so.
Okay.
Keith, I've got a couple here.
Okay.
One question is from Dennison, a question for Gary. Does he use Google Ads and project management volunteers?
We don't use any paid media. Everything that we do is generated by our members, but I have to say that one of our members, who is Carlos, who's the president of our club, is a social media manager, and what he did as part of his donation is he did invest some money on Facebook ads to promote our project. As far as project management volunteers, we do have on our committee people from Strathcona that sit on our committee that help us with ideas. We also have a teacher that helps us with the scholarship applications. And in the past, we've also had a social worker from Strathcona that sits on our committee to help us plan, direct, and control the direction of our efforts.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Marianne?
Yes, there is. There's a message from Nigel, and he's speaking of one of the things that they did last year, which was the Giving Tuesday National Day. Giving Tuesday this year is December 1st. For those members who don't like to reach out, reaching out, or who don't know how, you can craft a great email or letter around this National Giving Day that they can use. The trick is to get ahead of the curve because other organizations are asking as well for that day. Last year, they had companies that gave anywhere from $100 to $500. And then Dennison again says that he's referring to the free Google Ads account.
Yeah.
And he has included in the chat script the URL for that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Nigel actually has supplied that, so that's great.
We do have one hand raised. Lorene?
You need to unmute yourself, Lorene.
Thank you, DG Dave and Keith. I'll mention a few things we're doing at our club that I haven't heard other people mention, and they come from fellow Rotarians. The first one came from Debbie Sampson when I met her at Pets when she shared the idea of the wine survivor. So we're doing a version of that at our club and for the first time. So thank you for sharing that thought, Debbie. The other one is the Shredathon. Yeah, waving. The other one is the Shredathon that came from Sean Graham in Steveston. They had a very successful Shredathon and raised $6,000 at their first time. And I was impressed by the results. So I shared that with our club members, and we're going to go ahead with that Shredathon idea. Another thought that came from our club is a Santa Claus video that could be shared, and there might be some fundraising opportunities through that fundraising, through that Santa video. And John Charbonneau may want to say something about that, as that was his idea, and I see that he's online. And the last one is a boat swap that's under consideration depending on how COVID opens up. A boat swap's an idea that's been talked about in the past since we live in Tawasin, close to Bass Pro, that sells boats. There's been some chit-chat going on whether or not we might line that up, similar to a car sale in the lot that we now have going on in Tawasin. So those are ideas that are being bounced around, and two of them are going forward for sure. And Santa video, John, did you want to say more about that, or let that be for now?
While we're waiting to hear from John, Lorene, can you tell us something about the Wine Survivor? What exactly is that? How does it work?
Tom, would you like to tip in and give the details of how you're running the Wine Survivor? It's changed a bit from how Debbie suggested it.
Yes, I've done it for several times in the past for my kids' sporting teams, and during the beginning of COVID, I started it for supporting healthcare workers at Children's Hospital and Delta Hospital here as well. Essentially, it's a reverse draw, and I have a video of it. I don't know how to show it, but it's on my website. If anyone here is technically enough to find it and play it, I don't know how to do it.
We'll pass on that. Thanks, Tom.
Pass on that. Okay. Essentially, it's a reverse draw. People donate $25 or whatever it is to get your name written on a cork. In the past, it was donate a bottle of wine and money, and then the wine would be the prize. But obviously, with COVID, things have changed. So the last time when I did it, it was instead of winning wine, you won prizes. So you donate $25, get your name on a cork, you go into the island. So it's basically loosely based on the show Survivor. And the idea is that, the more corks you buy, the better chance you have. The last cork or the last corks drawn off the island win the prizes. In the past, it was cases of wine, which it will be again. Last time we did it, it was prizes. I donated my house in the Okanagan for a week's stay up there. Tinhorn Creek donated their guest house. Quails Gate, various guys, they all have guest houses, so they donated those. So the last corks drawn off the island won the prizes. And I filmed this live every single day for 10 days. It was done live, it was recorded, and then it was put on a website later on. So the people that didn't have Facebook, because it was done through Facebook Live, and not everybody's on Facebook, they could watch it later on. So the idea was to motivate people to not just buy one cork, but to buy many. Put your dog's name on it, put your cat's name on it, put your grandkid's name on it, and then get them on the island. And then with COVID, it's distance. You're not gathering, you're getting this. Your kids can watch this, your grandkids can watch it at the exact same time as you are watching it. So you can all sort of do something together. And some people did it, they logged in every single day religiously with a glass of wine and watched Crazy Me do my stuff. And then at the end of it, everyone had a good time. It's a lot of work to do this, but it's a lot of fun, and it can be done quite easily. It can be a lot of work, it can be a little work. Doing it myself in the past, it's a ton of work. But with Rotary, I'm a new member to Rotary. So with the Rotary, I'm hopefully, I've got a few guys that are going to, and girls that are going to come in and take a lot of that work from me. So I can just be the chimp in front of the camera doing and someone else can do the organizing and the counting of it all. So that's essentially how it works.
Thank you, Tom. I'm glad you mentioned and some girls, because I'm more than happy to help you. Just let me know what you want me to do. I haven't heard from John Charbonneau, but the idea is John has bought a License of Santa Claus video where it's, "Hi Santa, is Santa here?" And say your grandchild's name is Susie Q. "Hi Susie Q, this is Santa coming to say hi to you. I hear you've been a good little girl this year. What do you want for Christmas, Susie Q? I heard you want a bouncy ball and a hula hoop. I bet you'll get one of those gifts from Santa this year." So John Charbonneau was working up the details of how that works and how we might promote that going forward. So that's my gist of how I think it's working. So
thank you very much for your input, Tom. I see we may have a hand up as well. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes, you have Bill Charlton. Charlton.
Okay, Bill, would you like to share your story with us, please?
Good afternoon, or I guess it's still morning. Sorry, I got on about 10 minutes late to this whole thing. We were out on our boat trying to make all this work, and I got the invitation back late for some reason. But anyhow, I have just questions for Tom about his Wine Survivor. We were going to do the same project, so I'd just like to pick your brain a bit about ideas. So I'm wondering if we can get a hold of your video that you said you had, and try to see how you've done it.
Sure. It's on my website. I'm a real estate agent, so it's on my website, tomyingling.com, TOMYINGLING.com. Go onto it, and at the top there's all the menu items, listings, for sale, all that usual stuff. But go to the homepage, and it drops down, and there's a menu there that says Wine Survivor, and click on it, and that'll take you to the video.
Okay, that's great. And when you did it with wine, how many people did you get? I mean, the original Wine Survivor that I saw had 5 people to a team, and then you had so many teams, everybody paid $40, and that's what paid for the wine, and then you got your profits with what was left over. Is that kind of how you guys ran it?
Well, it wasn't. It was just I've never done this with Rotary. As I say, I'm a new member to Rotary, so this is my first time. They threw me as director of fundraising into the fire, right? Bam. So this is my first sort of a fundraiser of a Rotary of any kind. So it's all new to me. But when I did it for the hospital, my wife is a nurse, and my son was born premature in Children's Hospital. So I do have a special place in my heart for Children's Hospital. So when I did it, I've done it a few times, but support my kids' lacrosse teams and hockey teams. And I've coached for years. And when I did it for the hospital, it wasn't for Rotary. I said it was just strictly for the healthcare workers. So I just reached out to my group, my network, friends, family, and we raised $4,000. But it wasn't through the Rotary. It was just through my crazy contacts that wanted to laugh at me once a day for 10 days.
So how many people would you say you had in that particular gathering?
It was about 100.
About 100, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
one bought a cork or two, and they got on the island and had fun, laughed at me for a bit. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like an idea.
I'm hoping it'll be much larger with the Rotary network, right? Because I say this was just me tapping into mine, so I will tap into my network again, and hopefully there's enough people in Rotary that wish to do it again with me, and then they can suggest it to their family and their friends, and there'll be more people out there. Hopefully, that's the plan.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
We may have another hand up. Yeah. Thank you very much, Kelly. I think we have another hand up, do we?
We do. Debbie has her hand up, and we'll just get her on unmute. Just a second.
One more click. There we go.
Thanks. I just wanted to add to that the version of Wine Survivor that we did for our club, we have 60 entrants, and some people have multiple entries. They might put their cat in there or whatever, and we raise about $2,000.
And the key, once again, is I say being an agent, a real estate agent, I'm always advertising in the newspaper, right? The basic real estate weekly. So cross market it as Gary was saying, social media, obviously. And so this is how I sort of started to advertise it, sort of plant that seed that, and of course the Galt wine is sort of a little bit of a hook, right? And one of the things that I'm just going to do this coming week is to do the QR codes as well too. As you can see sort of here, it's something new that's coming out, and it basically, those that are familiar with it, with your camera, you can scan it. It'll take you right to the website. So watch the video and have a good laugh.
Thank you again. Thank you, Debbie. Kelly or Marianne, do we have any other hands or questions?
Yes, there was a message from CJ Butcher, and he was wondering whether anyone who is doing their typical events has changed their pricing tiers or pricing in general, as corporations may be struggling.
I can talk to that. We asked for donations based on a suggested amount. And over the last number of years, we've been fortunate enough to have 3 regular donors for $1,000 each. Now, this comes back to the follow-up that your members will do. So, for instance, when an email goes out to a corporate donor, we send them an overview about the project. We talk about the benefit that we're trying to give to the youth in East Vancouver, and we ask for $1,000. If we get some resistance, we can always fall back to $500 or to $250 or to $100. But again, this is part of the follow-up exercise and knowing exactly who your members are talking to. And if it's necessary, I, as the project chair, will get involved and then talk directly to that contact and answer any of their questions or any of their concerns. I know it's very difficult, as someone earlier mentioned, that their members are very resistant to asking for donations. So I make it easy for our members. I just simply say, if you've got trouble asking for money, throw it to me. All I need is the contact, and then I will contact and follow up. And if there's a donation opportunity there, I can close that on behalf of the member.
And it also depends, I think, to a certain extent. I'm sorry. I think it depends to a certain extent on whether this is a brand new fundraiser or whether something you've been doing for a number of years. There's a classic example from one of the organizations, one of the clubs in the East Coast of the US, where they have an annual lobster fest. And they normally get people to buy a lobster and they'll come and eat it or whatever. This year, they can't do that. So they're still having a lobster fest. There's no lobsters involved. They're not actually giving you anything. They're still getting donations because it's a long-running event that they've done where people have already supported it over the years. They're quite happy to support it. They may not give as much as they would have done in the past because they're not getting a lobster this time, but they're still willing to give money to it. So again, it depends on how you sell it and whether it's a long-running event that somebody has already, and if it's got that hook, if it's got that destination for the money that you're raising, those are the things that are going to cause people to continue to raise money for you.
I think that's a great point. And if you've been having an annual fundraiser for years and you get hit by the pandemic, you want to still be top of mind aware of. You want to have people aware of your project. And if you've raised $20,000 in the past and you only get $5,000 this year, hey, that's great. But you're remaining a part of the conversation moving forward.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Gary. That's great. Okay, Kelly or Marianne, anybody else?
There's just from Nigel, he's included his website address, or just so that people can look at his information, and that's on the chat box.
All right. There is a way for us to be able to capture that chat box, which we can do as we end the session today. So we'll take some of that, and if there are URLs in there that we need to distribute, we can send that out with the information about the video that we'll be providing as well. Yeah. Okay, Kelly, anybody else with a hand up?
Not seeing anybody. Just give everybody a second. Anybody else want to have a say? Not seeing any hands up.
Okay.
Nope.
No, nothing else. Any more chats, Marianne? No.
I was just going to say that I think if you're talking about sponsorship and tiered pricing and whatnot, it doesn't hurt to keep the tiered pricing. You just may not get the same from everybody as they gave before, but still, it's important, I think, to provide them with the opportunity to give what they gave the previous year, because some of these companies are still looking for ways to give to the community in one way, shape, or another. So, and if that's the way they've given in the past, they're comfortable to give that way again.
Indeed. Okay, well, if there's nothing else from anybody else, and again, just checking to see if anybody from Kelly or Marianne, seeing none. I guess it's our role today, Dave, to thank everybody for showing up today. Thank all the people who've contributed. I much appreciate all the help you're giving us to spread the word that even in a pandemic, it's possible to raise money. And for all of our various good causes, it's important that we continue to do that. It's not only important to support those causes, it's important to give members of the clubs something to do in a pandemic. So they're not sitting at home looking at their computer screen all day long and looking at ugly faces like ours to recognize what's going on. So they've got an opportunity to do something, to go and get in touch with their contact, with their family, with their friends, and ask them for money. It's not a bad idea, and we can support our wonderful charities when we do that. So once again, we'll thank everybody for turning up today. As I mentioned, there will be a recording of this presentation, which we'll be sending out to everybody who registered, and we'll probably make it available to other members of the district as well. So if you didn't get on today, we can still make it available to you. We thank you all for attending, and we wish you all the rest of this weekend and good fundraising, as they say, going forward. Thank you all.
And thank you for continuing to do the things we need to be successful Rotary clubs, and continue to not only raise money for what we do, but the projects that we do and how we can help the people in our community and internationally. So thank you again very much for all your hard work, and continued success with these and other fundraisers you may come across.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.